Parker of the Justice Foundation. They are one of the leading pro-life organizations in America, and he joins us out there. They're located in San Antonio. Alan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tim. It's an honor to be with you today.
Thank you for joining Ray and me. Alan, the Gossnel, he was found guilty of what yesterday?
3 counts of first-degree murder for the death of 3 children who were born alive in his clinic after attempted abortions, and then he murdered them while they were alive. So 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of involuntary manslaughter for the woman who was in his abortion clinic to get an abortion that he killed. And then over 200 counts of violating the state-informed consent law, where the women were supposed to be given the information about abortion and then wait 24 hours to do it. He just had them all sign the form, did the abortion the same day, and numerous other evasions. And then he still faces drug charges for prescribing OxyContin unlawfully. But the most serious is the death penalty for the deaths of the 3 babies.
What do you as a pro-life leader, Alan, somebody who's been in this movement for many years? Of course, your all's work is you're very concerned about the victims of abortion and not just the babies who are killed, but also the women who are victims in many respects. But what are your thoughts? How do we process what happened up there? What do you think about how this might affect the pro-life cause?
Well, we thank God that the evil is being exposed. It's so difficult to get the truth out. I have over 5,300 testimonies of women who have been hurt by abortion in clinics or facilities like this all over the country. I hate to use the word clinics because it's basically medical murder. And it seems easier to accept murder when we medicalize it. I was at Auschwitz 4 years ago, and it was horrible, but they started the final solution with Dr. Mengele doing the work because the German soldiers felt bad when they just took machine guns and gunned down masses of Jews. So they had to have a more medicalized sanitary procedure for killing people. And you may remember that abortion started out, it was just going to be very rare for therapeutic abortions. And in Ireland right now, they're trying to get abortions for women who said, well, if I don't have an abortion, I'll commit suicide. So it's to help. But the scientific evidence is you have a greater risk of committing suicide if you have an abortion. So I'm just praying and asking God to help this be a turning point in America as their eyes are opened. This is the bitter poison fruit of Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton.
Alan, one of the questions that I think we all have is how is he a standalone case, this Gossnel, or are there others out there like him? I know in the media, certainly on the left, they're trying to say, well, he's the only one, but there are others, aren't there?
There absolutely are. One of the best websites to see that is abortiondocs.org, abortiondocs.org, which is kind of a play on words. It's documents citing all the times abortionists have had their licenses suspended and taken away, but it's also a play on the word doctors. They're not really doctors, they're abortionists. But we at the Justice Foundation actually had to sue the Department of Health in Texas even to get them to enforce the abortion facility regulations once the legislature had passed them. And this happens all over the place for several reasons. Abortion is so politicized that you often get people in the health departments who think abortion is such a good thing, we don't want to interfere with it in any way whatsoever. And if we shut down a clinic, then it may become known and women won't get abortions, or even they're afraid that the, quote, alleged right to an abortion will be overturned, which I actually think they're right in that respect. If people really knew what went on in abortion clinics and knew that it doesn't help women and it is killing a child, I think they're right. America would stand up and reject it. And it's got to be the seductive lies that make people think abortion is a good thing. And then it is sometimes difficult situations that women find themselves in, but abortion is never the answer. Life is the answer, even if that includes adoption and giving the child to someone else to care for. But this is not a sole event, and it's because it's politicized and it's a constitutional right that health departments are actually afraid that if they interfere, they'll get sued for regulating.
Well, in the case of this Gossnel fella I don't even like calling him a doctor, because a doctor to me implies healing. This guy was a murderer, is what he was. So Gossnel up there in Philadelphia, his quote clinic wasn't even regulated. What the health department visited it like 3 times in 20 years or something like that. I may be wrong exactly, but it was ridiculous. No oversight.
That's right. You're right. It was decades, and unfortunately, I've heard reports that even under a pro-choice Republican, Tom Ridge, who was governor of Pennsylvania at one time, they specifically stopped trying to visit clinics because they didn't want to interfere with a woman's access to abortion. Yeah. And the abortionist and the abortion industry is very hypocritical in this area. They say, we want safe, legal abortions, but they sue to stop all sorts of abortion regulations.
Right.
For example, the Texas sonogram law that just required the woman to be shown the sonogram, and the doctor has to describe the body parts. Because one of the great lies of the abortion industry is, it's just a mass of tissue. But when you see the sonogram, even at 8 to 10 weeks when most abortions occur, you can see hands and fingers and toes. You can hear a beating heart of a human heart. It's not a fish. It's not a lizard. It's a beating human heart. And in most states, if there's a heartbeat, that is a sign of human life. We don't kill bodies with heartbeats. Yeah. And Arkansas and North Dakota now have just passed laws saying if the baby has a heartbeat, we're not going to kill it. And, of course, the abortionists are going to court to stop that.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wanted to give you just a minute to plug, if you would, the Justice Foundation or whatever website you want to do to promote the work you guys, the wonderful work you guys are doing. And then we got another guest here.
Sure. I would go to OperationOutcry.org. Operation Outcry is calling on women and men who've had abortions to give us their stories in writing so that we can take them to courts and legislatures and show them the truth about what really happens in abortions. There's not informed consent. There's not a doctor-patient relationship. And then there's the guilt and pain that comes to women from killing their own child. And there's healing resources, too. It's not the unforgivable sin, but it's time to stand up and do justice and be a witness for the truth.
Now, you can be anonymous if you want to, or you can give your first name or something like that, right?
That's right. We'll protect your identity, and so if you haven't told your family or others, we can use the evidence, but we don't have to use your name in court.
You. That's OperationOutcry.org. Is that right? Okay. Hey, Alan, thanks for being with us on such short notice. We just called you late yesterday afternoon, and we thank you for being on with us. Appreciate your good work, and we look forward to following up on this story in the coming weeks.
Thank you for all the good work you guys do.
Okay, that's Alan Parker from the Justice Foundation. I'm Tim Wildman with Ray Pritchard. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. And let me just say, folks, as long as we have a voice here at AFR and AFA, we will be pro-life, and we will continue to champion the rights of the unborn to live. The sanctity of human life is a biblical concept, and we're going to continue to promote it. Why? Because God cares that we continue to promote human life as sacred. So that's what we're about. That's what we're going to continue to do unapologetically. Ray, you want to introduce our next guest?
We're glad to have with us Christine Kane. She's the co-founder with her husband, Nick, of the A21 campaign, an organization dedicated to addressing the injustice of human trafficking. Very, very timely topic, especially in light of what happened up in Cleveland, that unbelievable story from last week.